Hi, this is Ishio, and today we are looking at Glaeolia, and this is quite a new book from quite a new publisher. This is Glacier Bay Books, and they have put out a special anthology that focuses on independent doujinshi and kind of like ignored artists that don't really have a lot of presence in the West. I'm going to swap sides because I think I'm blocking the microphone because this is quite a big book and I don't want to mess with that too much. So at the front of the book there's a bit of an explanation as to what the book's about. It really wants to put a spotlight on new, emerging and kind of overlooked artists. So there's a combination of different kind of artists in here. There are 12 stories in here by 12 different artists, so there's quite a bit of variety, and I do like the variety to be quite diverse. If I pick up an anthology and I enjoy every single work equally, I don't think that anthology is diverse enough. So luckily there's enough in here. Some stuff I really like, some stuff isn't to my taste, and that's the point of an anthology. You need to reach out, you need to kind of explore. Anthologies are all about discovering new things, and not everything you discover is going to be what you want, but sometimes you're going to find something that really opens up new possibilities to you. So I'm not going to cover every single work in here, but I'm going to highlight a couple of my favourites, talk about those, and just the nature of what this whole book's about. So as an example, there's a story called Photograph by Hyuichi Tanner, and it's a completely, there's no like dialogue, there's no words. It's a purely like visual kind of story kind of thing, and it's called Photograph, and it is just that. It's snapshots. You just kind of get to see little moments, just seconds in time, and they are framed. The illustrations are framed as though they are photos. They can be a little bit off center. They can be like not out of focus, but the subject of the photo isn't in the right place. So it's kind of done in a way that regards the photography, and it's kind of like just observing the world and having a quiet moment to just take that moment. And it's only really short, so some of the stories are like up to 50 pages and some are like less than 10. And the anthology, again, it isn't like a strict, oh, you must have 20 pages, this is your chapter and go away. It's a real mix. Whatever you need to express, that's the amount of pages you need. Another one I liked is Watching the House by Okuda Akiko. And don't worry, I did get permission to like show these pages. I don't normally show pages, but with an anthology, because it's hard to jump between and then having to like explain the visual differences between each one, it's easier just to show you. Otherwise, we're going to be here all day. So yeah, Watching the House, it's kind of like a child left alone at home, but their mum's sick. But because they're home alone, everything's kind of like, there's like a quiet foreboding as they're kind of left to their own devices just to kind of sit and stew in the house. And it's kind of nice. On the first page you see like a Famicom controller, like a Nintendo controller, that 8-bit one, and that just dates it straight away that you know it's set in the late 80s, early 90s, and all of like the cultural references are from that time period. But it's just kind of like the deafening silence of like this awful thing that's just running in the background. But it's just, how do you feel those days when there's just something awful going on with your life, but you haven't the power to control it or do anything about it? It's about filling up that day as much as you can. That was quite a nice little story, and I did enjoy that one. So right in the middle of the book there's this huge like 50-page story about Mandarake. It's called Meeting at Mandarake by Mogcom, and yeah, it's almost the centerpiece for the entire book. It's really nice. It's about a couple of people who've agreed they're going to meet at Mandarake, and if you don't know Mandarake, it's kind of like a big nerd otaku like second-hand shop. There's one in Akibahara, which is the big geek district in like Tokyo. There's one in Osaka. They're kind of scattered about all throughout Japan, but yeah, it deals in like second-hand goods of all kind of nerd stuff. It's really nice. If you ever get a chance to go, definitely go. You'll see some cool things. But yeah, there are these two people. One, she's kind of like a girl and she's gonna like meet with this guy, but she's forgotten her phone and she's just kind of like wandering around hoping to bump into him. The guy on the other hand, he's kind of there, but he's also mourning the loss of his grandfather and all of his grandfather's models that got accidentally donated to the shop. It just kind of like has little minor thoughts of these characters, and it has just, oh, here's 5 pages. There's one idle thought I had while I'm browsing through the shop, and then it will jump between the characters, and they're all little everyday thoughts. So sometimes the thoughts are sad, sometimes they're a little bit funny, and it's just nice. And it kind of made me nostalgic. I want to go back to Mandarake and I want to buy some stuff. I'll just talk about one more. We got Sleepless Nights. Is it from Yamakawa Naoto? I don't make notes. I'm just doing these reviews on the fly. But this style is really nice. It's very, very angular, I think is a good word for it. I'm just trying to find a good example. So it's very detailed, lots of cross-hatching, and yeah, angular is definitely a thing. So the backgrounds are like really illustrated, like a children's book kind of thing. They're not like the kind of realistic or naturalistic styles that we're used to with like typical manga. But it's kind of got this fairy tale quality to it. But the content of the story is slightly nightmarish. It's about a guy who suddenly, not for any particular reason, he gets really obsessed with kind of making artwork until he dies. And it's kind of like a grim turning. And then it's sort of like a curse. It continues on. It's just a nice thing to see. And I think it's quite smartly placed at the back of the book. It's by an established artist who really knows how they want to depict their work. Whereas some of the other earlier artists are kind of like, they're developing and they're kind of like still working out what they want to do. And that's not to discredit the other artists, because I've got a reason for this. Hang on, wait a sec. I just got to pick something up. So Yamakawa Naoto has only been published in English once before, despite being like a very long-term established professional artist in Japan. And the only time you're going to get to see their work before this time was in Sake Jock, which was another indie manga anthology book, which is now ridiculously hard to find. But from what I was saying before, you can see the development between the artist style between the two books. In this one, it's still kind of shaky. Like the character designs are still there, but the backgrounds aren't as well developed. The purpose of this book is to kind of highlight these creators who have been overlooked. Maybe they are super popular in Japan, and I'm just not aware of that. But it would be really nice that a book like this would really open up new opportunities, because the work is out there. They are developing their own work. Some of them are still developing, and they're getting like the Jinshi, and they're self-publishing or getting into other manga anthologies. But the idea of these anthologies is to discover new people, and if the work is out there, it would be nice if that could just open doors for the readers as well. And I'm sure the creators in here would like nothing more than to reach new audiences. So I'm telling you now, basically, if you want to see new manga that basically isn't really being covered anywhere else, you got like the big manga companies, and they only really seem to license new manga when an anime's been announced. You're not really seeing a lot of like the independent creators. You're just seeing the stuff that's, you know, you can make cool merch off. But if you want to see like independent creators telling the stories that they want to tell, like an opportunity like this doesn't come around all that often. And so I would say it's probably worth checking out if you're interested. This is hand numbered. There aren't many of these. So I'm telling you now, and if you're complaining in 5 years' time that you can't find the book because it's super rare and out of print, I've told you, I've given you heads up. This is your time. I mean, if you want to try and find this now, good luck to you. And that's it really. It's a solid 250-page chunk of indie manga. And that's Glaeolia. I think it's very worthwhile as an experiment, both on the publisher's behalf and also on the reader's behalf, if you want to see and check out new creators that you otherwise wouldn't get to see. Now's your time. And yeah, I've said it before, if it opens up new opportunities, and it's going to act as a primer for when you're seeing some of these creators make more stuff in the future, then what are you waiting for? It's just cool to check stuff like this out. So if you've got a bit of an inquiring, curious mind about manga, Glaeolia is kind of a book you need to be looking at. So yeah, I kind of rambled a little bit. Hopefully the review was a bit of interest to everybody. But yeah, that's it really. This is the show signing off, and hopefully I will see you next time.